What a mess. How we got here, and WTF do we do now? The frustration, hopelessness, and now higher prices. The wealth gap has widened exponentially. An oligarchy now runs our country, and people feel hopeless when it comes to affording basics or aspiring to home ownership. Income mobility has declined over the last half century, meaning my inflation adjusted income relative to my parents at my age has gone down. And that's true across the board. I see this when I walk around my parents' neighborhood and realize that my husband and I can't afford anything there, despite my parents having purchased their house at a younger age than I am now. Which brings me to housing is too expensive. There hasn't been enough affordable or moderately sized homes built, particularly in city centers or close to jobs. We lack investment in and commitment to equality for women and people of color. Bias, discrimination, and prejudice run deep. The lack of policies supporting women and families have contributed to a persistent wage gap, decline in birth rates, and resentment around unequal distribution of unpaid domestic labor. We need universal paid family leave, subsidized childcare, school lunch programs, paid sick leave, wide protections for reproductive health care, right to work part-time or flexible work arrangements that don't sacrifice health insurance, and, to reiterate, affordable healthcare and health insurance that's not connected to one's 40-hour-a-week job. Our health system is being gutted by private equity firms while pharmacy benefit managers and insurers squeeze every dollar out of the system for their own profits. The financial burden of health coverage has suffocated the average American, sending people into bankruptcy or causing them to forego care for years, sometimes for decades, due to affordability issues. I have a blog post for more on this. Wages have been stagnant. Labor unions are declining. Did you know it was the labor unions in the 1930s who got the work week down to 40 hours a week? Without strong labor unions and organized and empowered workers, who is pushing for better working conditions, flexible work arrangements, shorter work weeks, and higher pays? Hardly anyone, or at least no one with enough clout to actually make a difference across the system. Meanwhile, inflation has been high due to wars, supply chain shocks, and profit motivations, and soon enough, because of tariffs, due to arrogance. So with wages not keeping up, the American dream of home ownership is out of reach for more and more Americans. It's no wonder the country is resentful and sought for change. I'm not sure how that change comes in the form of an already ultra-wealthy white man who, by definition, represents the status quo. He is a rich, white, heterosexual, cisgender man. Am I scared? Yes, especially after the first 2-3 weeks of this new administration. I'm scared as hell. And also, I acknowledge my privilege and that I have it better than many. I'm white, educated, and natural-born citizen. I have savings, and I live in a mostly liberal city. But I also know that as a woman, I'm among those being marginalized and oppressed. When national policies and politics are failing us, what can we do? Do you throw up your hands, cover your eyes, ears, and mouth for the next 4 years? Despite the mess we're facing, especially the fear that our rights and liberties are being stripped away, I want you to find some sense of agency, some semblance of control and ability to take action. Here are some ideas. Look around you. Yes, your neighbors and your local community, they need you, and they can help you. Don't know your neighbors? Now's the time to go meet them. Be friendly, say hi, offer a helping hand or a useful resource, or lend a tool, a book, or a cup of sugar, or just ask for what you need. Consider joining a mutual aid network. These are voluntary, collaborative exchanges of resources and services for common benefit that take place amongst community members to overcome social, economic, and political barriers to meeting common needs. You can look up mutualaidnetwork.org or mutualaidhub.org for ones near you. Find organizations that are working to protect your rights and liberties and support them, whether by contributing money, time, or your expertise. For example, Southern Poverty Law Center, ACLU, or Planned Parenthood. If you have more resources, consider impact investing. Align your money with your values. Invest in women, founders of color, projects or businesses serving people of color. And remember your community. Hyper-local businesses can benefit from your loans, grants, investment, or expertise. I already invest in women founders. This year, I will also be reviewing investments in underrepresented founders, businesses serving historically underserved communities, and reproductive justice. I'm also on a steering committee for an investment group focused on historically underfunded entrepreneurs, local businesses, and using creative capital to fund those fledgling companies. I participate in advocacy for legislative action on environmental issues, as well as shareholder advocacy. And I want to see what opportunities there might also be to influence policy. Many friends have told me their plan is to stick their head in the sand and reemerge and re-engage after 4 years. I don't believe we can wait 4 years, and frankly, neither can I diverse friends, neighbors, or communities. Our planet can't wait either. So whether you march and protest, write letters to your congresspeople, make friends with your neighbors, join a mutual aid network, or thinking about taking your investments off of Wall Street, I'll be here or on my email newsletter when you're ready to join the effort. When you are ready to start, don't overwhelm yourself. Start small, start where you're at. Practice self-care. Put on your own mask first. Show up for yourself and others. And no, it's okay to take a break and distract yourself by engaging in a hobby or favorite pastime, listening to music, spending time in nature, or anything else that keeps you sane, nourishes you, and helps you to feel safe. We're in this together, and we're in it for our own self-preservation, and we're in it for the long haul.